Is anything happening for you guys?
Mm-mm.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are breaking down the latest sports news for you as usual, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Now, here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
What's up, everybody? Jackie Ray here. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Jackie, what day is it? It's Taco Tuesday! And Brownie will not be getting tacos today because he is in punishment.
Right.
So no tacos for Brownie J.
I will eat his share.
Yeah, LeBron made it home. LeBron made it home just in time for Taco Tuesday. I actually did a story this morning about all the tweets people are saying about Bronny getting in trouble and the punishment that he's going to be facing from LeBron. But LeBron had to get home and enjoy being at home before he could even start going in on Bronny. He had some pizza.
Yep.
The house was decorated with purple and yellow balloons. It was so nice.
Did he get in an ice bath?
Because I did that story too. I don't know what happened.
Did we do the same story?
You gave us the same story because I did a whole story about Bronny being in punishment. So you might get two Bronny stories today, guys.
Maybe there was an update after I shot mine this morning. So you guys will figure it out later. You can check out our channel for all these stories, all the ways that Bronny's going to get his ass whooped. But yeah, first, gotta enjoy some Taco Tuesday. So yeah, happy Taco Tuesday to everybody. Now let's get into the news. Let's talk about Kevin Durant. So KD believes that his decision to leave the Thunder shouldn't be looked at him as taking the easy way out. So after he left OKC to go to the Warriors, people have obviously said that it was like the softest move in NBA history. He's almost infamous for making that jump. Since he won 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs on a completely stacked roster, there are, of course, people who say that his rings shouldn't count. So he joined JJ Redick's podcast and said, quote, "I never understand what that means because I still go through every rep at 100% speed. I could understand if I didn't do well at all, but I was playing at my best for both finals. I earned that." So Jackie, I want to ask you first, do you think that KD's championship wins shouldn't count because he was on that overpowered team, or how do you feel about that statement?
I feel like I didn't want you to ask me this question because you know I can't stand Kevin Durant. But here's the thing, like, first of all, yes. I mean, I don't want to say anything about somebody not getting rings. You know what I mean? I think it's funny to joke about Danny Green, not getting a ring. But the fact of the matter is JR is going to get a ring. So if you're on the squad, you get a ring. There's a period at the end of that sentence. If you're on the squad, you get a ring. But at the same time, to me, it definitely was the easy way out. You were on a squad where you couldn't beat the Warriors. You kind of saw the Warriors as this giant, this kind of juggernaut compared to OKC. And, we all wanted the Thunder Twins, as I called them at the time. We wanted him and Russell to get over that hump together and be able to go to that next level, but they couldn't. So for you to not only leave, I think if he would have left and gone anywhere else and been successful or not, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But the fact that he left and went to a team that he could not beat, that was already stacked, that was doing very well without him, he's always going to have that asterisk by those championships. I'm not going to say anything about him not getting the ring because that's just smart planning at that point. If you go into a team that is already stacked and you really want that ring, then you go over there and you get that ring with that team. So I'm not going to take anything away from him as far as those rings are concerned. But I'm always going to say it was the easy way out.
All right. Chris, I want to ask you, do you think that people are too critical of him for this move, or do you think that the dragging that he gets is justified?
Completely justified. Completely justified. Now, as far as the him not earning the ring, that I'm not going to co-sign because we ain't going to act like Kevin Durant still didn't do the damn thing as Kevin Durant getting those damn rings. I don't care about that part. But as far as the taking the easy way out to get the ring, I 100% co-sign that. And the fact that he is still so hurt about it, that in 2020 he is on JJ Redick's podcast still talking about it. That's the part where I'm like, you know what? They continue to drag him because he is obviously still so sensitive about the entire situation. If I'm Kevin Durant, I'm telling everybody that had a problem with it, kick rocks is a situation. It happened. I got my rings, and that's it. Leave it at that. Stop talking about it. That's my only problem with it. Now, like I said, as far as the people saying that, you know, he didn't deserve a ring, that I don't agree with. Everything else, he deserves it, and he's going to keep getting it. The snakes and the cupcakes and all that stuff, it's not going to end until he stops dealing with it and stops responding to it.
Right. And then, Britt, I want to know your thoughts about KD's response to all of the haters. And also, do you think that he would have been able to win as many titles had he stayed with the Thunder and never switched teams?
To the first point, what did you say? Response. So, Chris, he responded to a question. He didn't just decide to go talk about this on his own willy-nilly. People keep asking him the same dang question, and he's responding to the question. He didn't go on the podcast and say, hey, JJ, I'm going to let you continue a podcast real quick, but I want to say something. No, JJ asked him that question, and he had to respond. At first, he's like, because the very beginning of it, he's like, no, like, what are you talking about? What does that even mean? Like, of course I earned these. Like, he's, I'm sure, very annoyed with the questions that have continued to happen. And he's already been on a whole other team for a whole year. Yes, he didn't play this last season, but like, we're talking about 2007, 2018, and people are still talking about it. And we're about to start the 2021 season. Like, people keep asking him that question. So what was your second part of your question, Devin?
I was asking if you think that had he stayed with the Thunder, would he have been able to have as much final success if he never left?
I think if that team stayed together originally with James Harden as well, that team could have been the best team in the NBA. So, yes, I do think that he could have done that. I think that there's so many opportunities. And if you are up 3-1, yes, you could beat the Warriors. You just happen to whatever motivationally or whatever got in your guys' head and didn't win. But you clearly showed that you beat them. You just did not beat them. And so I don't think just because you were down 3-1 on something that you can never come back, because the Warriors have been down 3-1 too in finals and then came back and beat a team just like that. So I don't want to like say that the Warriors were necessarily the better team. I think Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, if they would have stayed together, they could have made magic together. They played really well together. I just think that team needed another piece. I don't think Sam Presti was very good at finding that other piece that they needed. And I think that it was more of a GM, president, coach kind of situation than I think it was the two guys of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, because I've always thought that they played really well together. And I just think that they were missing something and nobody could have figured out what that was.
Yeah, and I don't want to, I'm not a KD fan by any stretch of the imagination, but let's not forget that squad, the reason why KD came to Golden State is because Golden State felt that they needed an answer for LeBron. So while I think that squad was stacked, they specifically were like, all right, here comes Cleveland. LeBron put that squad on his back, came back from a 3-1 deficit. We can't let that happen again because we know we're going to face him again. So we need KD for that. So to Chris's point, yeah, they needed him in that aspect. But at the same time, it's just always going to look weird if you just leave a team to go to a team that you couldn't beat. That's always going to be a thing. And I agree with Britt. He's not really bringing this up, but at the same time, you could say, I've addressed this several times. I don't need to address it again. You know what I mean? You don't have to feed into that narrative.
He doesn't have to answer every time. I agree with that 100%. Shut it down, or you're going to keep getting asked that question.
He wants to talk to somebody, y'all. He just needs friends to talk to. And they just keep
but that goes back to my point. He wants to talk about it, though, Britt. That's the point.
I honestly think if you ask Kevin Durant anything in the world, he would sit and talk to you
for
an hour about it, because he's that bored and he's just that. He just likes to talk to people. So he would talk about anything. If he wanted to talk about his teammate thinking the Earth is flat for an hour, he would talk about it for an hour. Like he really would. But I don't like this, because I think Oscar Robinson and other players worked so hard to get the NBA players the opportunity to be free agents and to make their decision. Because before we were never talking about, well, look at the Bulls. Like, they're just like trying to get all these players on their team so they could win. Well, duh. Like, isn't that the whole point, is to be on a team and try to win? Like, and now the players have that ability to decide for themselves. Like, even like LeBron and stuff deciding to like, hey, I'm going to go team up with my boy D Wade and we're going to do some things in Miami. Like, to have that freedom to be able to do that, that is what players fought for, is free. And that's what free agency is about, because less than 15, 20 years ago, free agency did not exist and players were not allowed to do this kind of stuff. I think I don't like the rhetoric of like getting mad at players for like getting to make their own decisions, just because we spent 50 years in the NBA where players weren't allowed to make decisions, but teams could literally move players around and do whatever they want, like a chessboard. Like, they were just like nothing in order to get their championship team. But when a player's like, hey, like, I'm gonna join with y'all, let's win a championship together, let's see if we can like bond and have this kind of thing, and we're going to create this kind of energy. Like, why is that like frowned upon? Like, that's what free agency's for, is to let players have decisions, to be able to see if they can go create magic with a team and, you know, have this whole championship run.
Yeah, the goal is rings. Like, people forget that. That's the goal. The goal is to win a ring. So look, I can have my opinion about KD doing what he did, but at the end of the day, his plan was to get a ring, and it worked. So I'm with Britt. I'm not going to frown on him upon that. And I've said it before. I'm not going to frown on any athlete doing what they feel is best for them, because we know that at the end of the day, the team. Yeah, but I don't like KD as a person, but I would never be on that train of like, oh, his rings don't mean anything, because if he made a concerted effort to calculate how he could get his ring, and his calculations was right, y'all got to give him a hash mark for that calculation, and then say whatever you have to say after that, you know.
And he didn't just go.
We could go on.
It was very.
I'm going to end the conversation now because we're running out of time, and I think we could go on and on about this forever. So let's get into the next need-to-know news story, you guys. We may be getting an NFL bubble, or maybe multiple NFL bubbles. So the league is reportedly considering Dallas and LA as potential cities to host a bubble in, if the league decides to hold at least a portion of the playoffs in isolation. So this is all coming after they had all of those Titans positive COVID test results. So The Athletic reported on Monday the wild card round could be played at home stadiums, followed by a move to neutral sites for the divisional round and beyond. So it'd be the same format that the MLB is doing right now. The Athletic wrote, quote, part of the discussion is that for playoffs, they may be able to do a bubble type system that would avoid having to reschedule or losing key players because they're COVID positive or had contact with people who are COVID positive. It's a big undertaking if they do this. They won't be moving the remainder of the regular season into a bubble or even 32 individual bubbles, and they're trying to hang on to as much of the schedule as it already is set as possible. But it's just interesting to hear that now they are considering doing the playoffs in a bubble. So, Chris, do you think that they should have started planning for this and making these types of arrangements a long time ago?
Yes. Why are we talking about this? And it's about to be week 5, week 6, whatever it is. It was way too late to have this conversation. I mean, cool, but this is another example of them reacting rather than planning out the situation. They're like, okay, well, this is happening. Now we should probably do this. They should have been coming up with this a long time ago. I don't know if it's even going to. I still don't think, because Britt's been talking about this for a long period of time, if it should have happened before the season even started. I still don't even know if it's going to be something that could make any sense. I still don't necessarily co-sign on the bubble idea. The fact that, they're trying to have these conversations, they're trying to put these things together. I get it. You're going to try to problem solve, but at the same time, it also feels very last minute. And that's the problem I have with this entire conversation.
Mm-hmm. And I know we've all said that before on this show, that they're reacting instead of being proactive about it. Britt, do you feel like a bubble for the playoffs or 2 bubbles for the playoffs would work, or is it just going to be too much of an undertaking for the NFL?
I think it would work. And to be fair, the NFL did say a long time ago that they were going to consider doing a bubble if there was still a global pandemic for the playoffs. So this isn't brand news or new news to them. Obviously, they're not going to have it like, we're definitely going to do this if come December, there's no more pandemic going on. So of course they already had this in the works. They've already had this kind of planned out, and they have been talking about it because Chris said, I've been, covering it and talking about it a lot leading up to the season. And that was one of the first things that the NFL said was, we probably won't have one during regular season, but we could look to have one during the playoffs. So they have, I think, already had a plan. They just probably didn't share plans with us because they don't need to. But they have kind of already had ideas of what they would do if there were to be a pandemic that would continue on. I think it would work for playoffs, obviously, because it's way less teams in the playoffs. And it's just the playoffs for NFL are just a month long. It's just the first 4 weekends or whatever in January. And I think that's something that's easy to do. And immediately after, obviously, you'll have like people out like the wild card week, depending on if they decide to include that as technically a playoff or if they want to wait till divisional and then conference championships to do it. So, but I think it'd be really easy to do just because it's a lot less people and the places they'll play are not like definite yet, like versus like, okay, we've already had a season on home team versus away team. The playoffs are totally different because we don't know until that week who gets home field advantage and who will have a game and who won't and stuff like that. So the TV time isn't messed up for any of that kind of stuff. That's all something that is planned last minute anyway, because it is based on the playoffs and like who gets into the playoffs. So I think it's something that's very feasible and very easy to do and doesn't need a lot of preparation in order to do because the teams will already be in, NFL teams already control most of a hotel anyway when they go to games and stuff like that. It's the majority of the hotel will be the football team just because football teams are so big and all the people pieces that they need and stuff like that. So I think it'll be super easy to do during playoffs. It's totally different than like what the NBA is going to be trying to, or the NBA did.
Mm-hmm. And then Jackie, what's your reaction to the news of a potential NFL bubble? Do you support it? Do you think that it's a good idea, or should they just try and continue things as normal?
I agree with Britt when she says, the NFL had a plan. Their whole thing was to think about what happens if the pandemic, continues in December. And if that was their plan, if their plan was a wait and see plan, that's not a plan. Because everything told us that this was going to continue into December. You know what I mean? So they should have anticipated, this being an issue, because right now we're not seeing football as good as it should be because they eliminated things that would have given us good football. And now we're seeing all these positive tests. So I thought a bubble situation should have been considered long before this. And I said an extended schedule, as an extended season should have been considered. And you would only be playing in certain states anyway. And I understand what Britt's saying about, you don't know home field advantage until that's in a normal situation. We ain't in a normal situation. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to get in front of that and figure out how can we make sure that, okay, look, because no one in the NBA had home field advantage, you know what I mean? And the thing is, and that's that part that I think bothers me about this whole thing, is the NBA literally set out this example of how things can go if you do it right. And I understand that it's a little bit more difficult for the NFL, but I think that if their plan was to wait and see, that wasn't a real plan. So I don't really have an opinion on what they're going to do, because now I'm just going to wait and see if their wait and see plan actually works. Because at this point, I think you might end up losing. You're going to end up having to push more games back because more people are going to test positive. It's going to just be a weird scenario to see how this one plays out.
I think that's fine.
It really will.
The regular season. I think just once you get to playoffs, to have a bubble makes a lot, because you can't have that situation where, because they're just one game and done. It's not like the NBA where you have 7-game series. You need all your players to be healthy, and to miss a game because of COVID is going to be like horrific. Imagine if Cam Newton was in a playoff situation and had to miss the game because he got COVID. So like in a playoff situation. So like, I think a regular season, it's going to be, all the teams are going to have to deal with whatever they're going to have to deal with. But I think for playoffs, it definitely makes way more sense to do a bubble, just because they're one and done games. It's either you're going to be in the NFC divisional round, get West and whatever, or you're going to go to the NFC championship game, So I think to make sure the players have the best chance to at least be healthy enough to play during a playoff series is like totally different than what I'm looking at from like a regular season, because it's the players, their own, it's their body, it's whatever. It's just like getting injured or whatever. But I think for playoffs to have players sit during like a go home kind of situation is going to be too crucial, and they have to have a bubble in that aspect.
I hear that.
All right, you guys. Well, we are over time for Need to Know News. So, Chris, tell us what's happening for the post up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition, and we still have some trickling over news from the championship going to the Los Angeles Lakers. And of course, we're starting off with LeBron James, as we should though, because LeBron James and the rest of the Lakers finally made their way home. They're here in LA, meaning I know the memes where Bronny's probably hiding behind the couch, or he's down the street, or he's lost, he's MIA. We don't know where he is. But we didn't see that right away, because what we did see was LeBron James on his IG story dropping pictures of him returning home with balloons, see the purple and gold and whatnot in his home. Happy to be back, home sweet home, as well as this crazy looking pizza that is his first meal outside of the bubble, and he was very, very excited about that. But yeah, LeBron James is here, and I think the IG stories and stuff like that was really cool to see. But what I liked more than those pictures in the IG story was what he had posted right after making his way out of the bubble, and this was his IG post that he put up right here, that he's just talking to the haters. He's got something for the haters, and I'm all here for it every single time. He put, "Up in smoke tour. What they gonna say now? I know they'll make up another criteria that nobody else has ever had in the history of the game. But guess what, though? Bring it on, please. Heavy is the head that holds the crown," they say. Let's get it. Hashtag the kid from Akron. Hashtag revenge season completed. Look, again, yes. I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. I'm not on the level of Jackie Ray when it comes to LeBron James, but I am one that is a LeBron James fan, and seeing a post like this, I love my favorite part was the part where he says, where they continue to give criteria, continue to have reasons for me doing or not being good enough when other players never had to go through stuff like that, is basically what he's saying. I love that, and that's 100% true when it comes to LeBron James. So Jackie Ray, just seeing this, we get her back on the screen, seeing this, hearing this, I know you were hyped about it.
Yeah, man. Like I don't even smoke cigars, but I started to go get one and try to, mimic the same picture because. But it happened. I've literally been defending him his whole career, and it's always something like that. Somebody will say, "Well, there's this one guy who could actually tie his shoe and make a basket at the same time and win a game. Has LeBron ever done?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like the criteria they put him up against, but. It's something that I had to realize early on as a fan, that when you have somebody like him, I was on the Mike and Donnie show last week, and Mike and Donnie said something. He was like, "You know why we haven't heard about LeBron's dad? Because he's a mutant. He's not human." And I'm like, okay. When people really look at him like that, then you kind of just have to concede the point. Like, of course you're going to make these outlandish expectations for him when you view him like that.
Jackie, I've been saying that on this show. The dude is not real. He's an alien. This dude is a test dummy. He was probed. I don't know what happened. LeBron James is not a human. I'm co-signing that one for sure. But yeah, no, I agree. The criteria is wild. It always has when it comes to him, and I think that just shows the greatness that is LeBron James. But unfortunately, it won't be seen until years after he's retired. But that's just how it's going to go. So I'll love LeBron James for that post. I'm with that. I co-sign that one. For sure. Now, something else that a lot of people, that's not true. It's just Twitter. I take it back. But people are, this one's 50-50. And I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this one. But Adam Silver is deciding to reward the league employees for everything they had gone through within the bubble and bringing the season back and missing time before we even had a bubble and when we thought there wasn't going to be an NBA. Adam Silver has come back, and he is going to be rewarding league employees with let me read the post by Shams. Shams put up a tweet that said, Shams made the report saying, Adam Silver has informed league employees that they are all receiving a $1,000 bonus and 4 Fridays off beginning October 30th, as well as Thanksgiving week, as a thank you for their work this season, per Shams Charania. Now, there's a lot of people that were feeling the type of way about this. Some people were seeing this, and this is like, I saw this just as black and white. I thought, yes, that's nice. You're giving a little bit of extra. They went through a lot. Good for them. But then everyone else is like, $1,000? Is that all you can give them, Mr. Adam Silver? And they had that whole narrative, only 4 Fridays, and it was just a whole crazy thing. So I'm just curious, seeing this tweet that had come out, this report by Shams Charania, Britt Johnson. Do you think that this is a good gesture by Adam Silver, or is it not enough? Which side are you leaning on when it comes to this one?
I think he's talking about league employees. So those are people probably already making over $100,000. I think it would be more effective to go to all of the stadium workers that lost their jobs and do not have money during this time. If they would have gotten, an opportunity to, get something, because I know those are the people that are really struggling. People that were making over $100,000 didn't necessarily struggle during this time. But it's his. That's what his job is, and those are his employees. So do what you do. I think it's cool, but obviously it's not like I would have rather liked to see a gesture given to people that were working at the arenas and stadiums that did not get to finish out their regular season or their last month of work. And the 4 Fridays, I thought it was funny at first, but then you said the whole week of Thanksgiving, because I was like, well, they would have got off the Friday after Thanksgiving anyway, because everybody does. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I think it shows probably that we for sure it's going to be a little bit later before we see basketball, because I know they've been talking more towards January, but I think this kind of like confirms it, because if we were really getting ready to start basketball season, everybody wouldn't get off every Friday in the month of November. Like that would not happen because they would have so many things they would need to do in order to prepare for the season start, because the NBA technically is not prepared for it either, because they didn't think we were going to have a pandemic that was going to go until December or January. So they don't know what they're going to do either at this time. So I think it's like a crazy moment. And I think this just proves that the NBA is going to be more January, early February, like I had reported that Adam Silver was thinking about a month ago.
So I co-sign your idea about him making a gesture out to those in the stadiums and stuff, but at the same time, that's not necessarily his problem, because it's not, the stadiums aren't necessarily just for the NBA, because NHL teams, basketball teams, like a lot of them share them. So that's more of the owner of the stadiums, which is, as we saw like as cheap as he is, James Dolan eventually paid for a lot of the people that worked in Madison Square Garden. Mark Cuban, same thing. Like that was up to the owners and stuff. Not all of them, but the majority of them did that. And I agree, it would have been nice, but.
Yeah, especially because the Lakers won. I'd like to see them do something like that, because we know the Lakers got in trouble for trying to take a small business loan, and then they got caught situation. And then we know Jeannie Buss donated to Trump's campaign, donated to your employees that were out of work this whole time, living in LA, which is really expensive. Like that's what you should have done.
Yeah,
and maybe they still will. Hopefully they will.
I'm about to say there's still time. We'll see what happens with that. But I think the very first thing you said was the part I have for anybody that had a problem with this. The people that are getting these bonuses are paid very nicely. So if anything, like it says in the damn report, it is a bonus. It's a plus what you're already getting. So yes, go out to dinner. If you're making $100,000 a year, fine. Have you take $1,000 to go out to dinner, whatever it may be. You're still getting a bonus, some change, and you're getting days off. So yes, it is. I had no problem with it. I took it as a nice little gesture. I didn't think it was like groundbreaking or anything like that, but Adam Silver going Adam Silver. So cool. I thought that was a good moment. Have with that. Now this one I'm gonna need help with, because my stupid boy brain is having a problem with this one, and maybe it isn't more than what I'm seeing from the surface. But I think what I feast my eyes here on is another clout chaser, and that's why I'm looking to you ladies to help me out with this one. But there's the meme that's going on right now with the whole how it started and how it ended meme, which there's a lot of funny posts going on with this. But this girl named Marissa Daniela, she put up a post of her conversation with Tyler Hero back when he was drafted, and I guess he had DM'd her, if I can get that one up. Oh, it's right there. Yeah, he had DM'd her and saying, yo, hi, they had a conversation, and looks like things went okay at that point. Well, now, months later, supposedly he had texted her in January, and she did not respond for a whole 9 months, and she put that as how I'm doing now. If we can get the text up, the tweet text. I hope I dropped that. This. So you see, I don't know what he's talking about, but you can describe it. That was back in January. Now, all fast forward all the way up to September. He said, "Wow," and she responded with, "Sorry, my phone died." She hit him with the "Sorry, my phone died." So I need help with this one. Like obviously, I get the text, like I understand, but I don't understand. Sorry, I'm a fan of this meme, but this one is going way over my head. Please, somebody help me with this one. Where's the meme? It's just because she hasn't responded to him. Because talk to me, please. Help me.
So he didn't say anything. His last message was in January when he said "wow" because she didn't respond to the other message, and then he figures out who he is because she's probably watching the NBA playoffs. And so she's like, sorry, my phone died 9 months later. Like, you get it now, Chris?
But he said wow first. Yeah, like, if she had said that to respond to the radio text, I'd be like, all right.
Wow in January. He said wow in January.
Yeah.
Leo,
did he say? Oh, my bad. I read that wrong. I thought he said wow September. So got it.
No,
Got it. See, I have an Android. My fault. I got a Samsung.
I was gonna say you do have an Android.
So for me, it says it next to text like there. So I got it. I understand. So the little girl out here getting her. I understood. Chris is caught back up, ladies and gentlemen. Got it. Okay. Because I'm like,
it's not your fault. You got an Android. It's okay. You don't even know what the blue.
Wow. You're right. I don't know that blue life. Yeah, I don't know about any of that stuff. Right. Yeah, I'm like, why are you saying wow? Why are you now all of a sudden respond to his wow? Why are you saying wow in the first place? Yeah, my bad. I'm dumb. I apologize. That's never on me. I'll take that up. Let me know in the chat. Give me that on the chat. I deserve that. But yeah, memes understood now, and I like that. But something else I did, I understood from the jump, and I really enjoyed was Klay Thompson's dry old man humor, and he has a brand deal with Nerf, and Klay Thompson is the GOAT at playing the game of being extremely sarcastic, but also being genuine, and you just can't tell if he is being genuine in his sarcasm. You can never tell. And this little brand deal that he did with Nerf is the perfect example of it, and I thought it was hilarious. So take a look at Klay Thompson's Nerf video.
Wow. What a beautiful package from Nerf. This is great. This is phenomenal. We got a little letter, too. Dear Klay, this is the new Mega Motor Strike. We think this blaster will make a splash. Love Nerf. What a fine piece of machinery.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. It's so that is like this whole thing is so good. It's so good, and that's the thing. Like Klay Thompson, you just don't know, and he's probably just being so genuine. That's just how he talks. But at the same time, he can also be very sarcastic. This is definitely a brand deal with Nerf. You can see it on the post and everything like that. I thought it was great. I enjoyed this so much. I almost bought a damn Nerf gun just to support Klay Thompson because that was just so damn good. But Klay Thompson to go. I don't know. I got nothing with that. We're actually gonna talk about Klay Thompson again later on this in post up. So stay tuned for that. But before we get there, all right, ladies. Okay, and we heard. But Jackie already saw. We heard some reactions before that we even went live. But I'm gonna have to put it up again because it blew my mind because I know that Joe Johnson is 39 years old, and we're looking at players that are not even his age yet. Jared Dudley. They don't look nothing like Joe Johnson looks. But Joe Johnson got some pictures going up right now. They got people going crazy. 39 years old, looking like a whole damn tank.
Snack. A snack. A whole snack.
Y'all are so wild.
Ooh, God is so good. God, won't he do it? Devin, I was waiting for you.
Well,
I can't say it, y'all. Y'all so wild.
Really my church fan.
Woo, me too, girl. Me too. I was like, I need some water. Woo, help us. Woo. Woo, God is so good, y'all. He's so good. Oh, and he glistening. See, I can't.
Okay, Leo, just
you can't get in a fight with a man like that. With the other picture. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No. This ain't it.
No.
Y'all so wild.
Just cover Chris with Joe Johnson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, figure that. Look, while you figure that out, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. That's fine.
We can leave on this note.
No. That's cool.
Good, Leo got it.
There you go, Leo. Yeah, Joe Johnson.
Yes. Wait. All that over there. Yes.
I hate that you co-signed this, Leo. Oh, I'm so done. Oh my God. All right, Joe Johnson, take it away then. Go ahead. No, take away the post up there. Go ahead, take it away. Anyways, well, can we move on? He'll still be there, or is he gonna disappear? Oh no, I'm back. I'm back.
He's gone. You're back.
Ain't last long. Whatever. No, but yeah, Joe Johnson looking good. 39. I gotta look at him and be like, golly. But Joe Johnson, 39 years old. Get him back in the league. But something else that got me going, golly, is these ratings that were coming out when it came to the NBA Finals as the Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Normally, every year, Games 6, 7, 5, whatever it may be, the deciding game of the NBA Finals is definitely more times than not, one of the most viewed games, because you know that is the game where a team is going to be crowned champion for that season. But this year wasn't the same. We heard the ratings come out. They're being compared to the NFL ratings, who normally are really good, but even the NFL this year hasn't been the best. They're still doing what they got to do, but they haven't been the best. And when this tweet came out and this report came out, I was like, whoa. This tweet came out by Albert Breer, who said, Sunday night's Vikings-Seahawks game more than doubled the TV ratings of the Lakers Game 6 clincher in the NBA Finals, with the two broadcasts going head-to-head. Football ratings are a little down, but that context is nuts. So obviously there's a lot of factors that are different this time around compared to normal NBA Finals, from there being in the bubble to the NBA completely co-signing in the change for social injustice. And a lot of people had their feelings and felt the type of way about that. So I got to ask, Devin, do you think that was the sole reason why the NBA Finals ratings were so far down, is because of the NBA and them joining the players and joining the people on the streets in fighting for social justice? Do you think that was one of the main reasons that the ratings were so low?
No, I don't think ratings were low because of people fighting for social justice. I think the ratings were low because we have people's attention being divided among the playoffs, football, we have an election coming up, we have baseball. I mean, there's a lot of things that's happening, especially on TV right now, that's causing people, like, I have friends who would set up multiple different screens in their apartment so that they could watch every single game happening at once. But a lot of people don't have the luxury of being able to do that. So that's why I think ratings were so low. Does that answer your question?
Now, to answer my question, Jackie Ray, throw it to you. Do you co-sign? How do you feel about that? Do you think that the ratings are it's just because people aren't just not caring about the NBA at this time of the year? What are your thoughts on this?
So the NBA had a big break, you know what I mean? So anytime you have a big break like that, you do kind of have to have an uphill battle to get, back to the numbers that you need to be. So I think that plays a big part in it as well. Also, I know, once you get down to, everyone kind of wanted the Battle of LA, and I know that when the Battle of LA kind of wasn't going to happen, the numbers dipped a little bit as well. So, you can chalk it up to that. But to be frank, if the ratings did dip because of what they were doing on the court as far as social justice, and, maybe that made, those MAGA people a little bit pissed off, I'm cool with that. Like, if you don't want to watch because you don't want to accept that our country needs to move in a totally different direction, you don't deserve watching a league that's 80% black anyway. So if that's the reason why the ratings dip, that's all right with me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And Britt Johnson, what are you putting it on? Do you think that it was just the fact that the Seahawks-Vikings game is just more entertaining than that game? Because we do know it was a blowout, but even before it was that result, the people weren't really tuning into that game. They're tuning in more to the NFL game. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that because the Lakers game started first, it was extremely boring. I did not watch. I watched like the first 2 minutes and I didn't watch it anymore. I turned it off. I didn't watch the game at all. Like, I didn't see any part of the game just because it was boring. There was nothing happening. It was a blowout game. Seahawks, the 12th man, they have a huge fan base in Seattle. So I feel like a lot of people were just watching. The Seattle Seahawks are undefeated right now. You got superstars on those teams, and people just love Sundays are for football. So I think people just couldn't get out of the mindset of like, no, Sunday I watch football all day. I know I'm not going to switch and turn basketball. And then when I did look from that 4:30 time right after those 1 o'clock games are over, before the 5:30 night game starts, when they had that little time to watch basketball and it was really boring and really bad, they just turned it off. So I think that that's simply what happened. And I mean, obviously, yes, I do think it has to do with the social injustice stuff in a sense as well. But I think mostly had to do with the fact that the game was extremely boring. And the NBA historically has been getting a lot of bad NBA Finals series just because the games have been blown out, like blowout games, like the last, like, you know, ever since the Warriors, since 2014, 2015, like it's been like a kind of lower rating for NBA Finals just because you keep having sweeps and stuff like that. And they've been battling with their numbers in the NBA Finals. So I just think that's just going to continue, obviously, this season, especially that Game 6 was boring.
Yeah, I can see a bit of that too. Because the only reason why I did not watch the football games because I have no interest in watching the Vikings. They're not good right now. They're not good ever. I'm not a fan of Ken Cousins, and that's the main reasons why I stayed and sat through the blowout of the Lakers, and that's a team I'm not a fan of. And also known as the last basketball game. But to what Britt just said, and to what everyone on the panel said, I think a little bit of everything that was on this panel, I think I agree with, and I think. The biggest thing is just the NBA Finals as of late have not been getting the ratings like that because we'll have 1-2 good games and then we'll get a lot of blowouts. So this isn't really new. It's just for the fact that, like he had mentioned, the NFL ratings aren't even that great right now, and NBA still was doubled by the NFL. That part to me was just like, whoa. So I still kind of feel like there is a little bit that has to do with you know, the NBA joining in the social justice movement, but at the same time, I'm with Jackie Ray. Let them be gone then, because let me tell you something. We don't need your support because the people that you'll be watching anyways are people that are of color. So deal with that then. Right. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what changes with that rating-wise, especially with the new startup date for the NBA. We'll see if anything changes. All right, guys. So it's October. Meaning that Halloween is coming up, and I got something a little scary for you guys, something that freaked me out. And I got to give some context before I show you this, because when you see this without knowing the context, you're going to be like, what the hell is Chris showing me on my computer screen right now, okay? I don't know if you kids are old enough to know about a movie called Tremors. There was at least for me, it was scary because I don't like earthquakes in the first place. And to name a movie about something that comes after an earthquake was not nice to me. And then to find out what the damn monsters were, I just did not like Tremors growing up. But Tremors were these big old worm-like creatures with teeth and mouth inside of teeth and mouth like alien kind of thing. So basically, I don't know if this is CGI. I don't know if this is real. I don't know what to believe with this. But Ness Cantor is out here playing like he got these new pets and got these little baby tremors in his. I don't believe this is
that is not right.
Look at these things, man.
That's an eye.
It's creepy. Yeah, there's an eye and then there's a mouth. It's an eye inside the mouth. Yeah, see these things. Not okay. Not okay. That's what I'm saying. Like. Nah.
It's fake.
Nah.
Why? What is
No.
This is Ness Cantor. This is your boy. This is your boy, Ness Cantor. He posted this. I don't believe that this is from his house. I think he saw this. No, I hate you. Well,
Chris,
you guys
that's your boy.
No, you guys give me all the crap for hating on Ness Cantor.
Okay.
Did it just snap at him? Did you see that?
Yes, because that's what they do in Tremors. They do this. But these little baby ones, so these better be fake. And if they're not, I expect them to be burned with fire. Because if you didn't watch the movie, I don't want that to happen. We already had a crazy of 2020. Do not add this to the list, please. Do not do this.
I'm a big prankster, and I'm the type of person who would love something like this to scare somebody. But I probably would not prank somebody with this because I could literally see somebody having a heart attack.
Yeah,
just falling.
I don't like it.
That is awful. That's awful.
I don't like it. Let him get him off. Get him off. All right, we get it. They're eating the hair out of the drain. Nah, get him off. I don't like it. I don't like it.
If that's so gross.
It activates a gag reflex. I'm sitting here like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
I
don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Absolute worst. Thank you, Ness Cantor, for absolutely nothing. But last but not least, I got something that scared Damian Lillard, and that was the fact that somebody was comparing Duncan Robinson to our boy Klay Thompson that we were just watching. Yes, for whatever reason, Damian Lillard was just having a good day, scrolling through his Twitter feed and having a good time, and then he saw this post that really made him upset to the point where he had to quote tweet it with the face palm emoji. Micah Phoenix said Duncan Robinson is a better catch shooter than Klay Thompson.
What?
No question. No response. On that note, I'm just saying. I got nothing else to say. I'm not gonna add anything to that.
The disrespect.
I like Duncan Robinson. I'm a Duncan Robinson fan, but that right there, that almost made me hate him immediately. That post right there almost made me hate him immediately. So I'm leaving it alone. That's it for me.
I don't even think
I didn't know
Robinson would co-sign that. He wouldn't.
Me either,
Yeah.
Britt. Me either. Yeah, he wouldn't. No, he would not. That's all I got to post.
All right. Jackie, we're running low on time here, so tell us what we not gonna do.
Yeah, just the nastiness that Chris is sending me in this with. Okay, so what's up, everybody? Girl Jackie Ray. We're going to really quickly walk down this road of what we're not going to do. It's probably going to be mostly for those of you in the chat who are part of Who Dat Nation. This one is easy for me because if you saw the game last night, we barely won. Yes. But we barely won. We were down 20-3. I think there's a couple minutes left in the second quarter. Drew Brees got a touchdown, made it 20-10 at the half, but we looked really bad. Alvin Kamara was just held to just 45 yards, no touchdowns. Emmanuel Sanders, before the game, I heard him do an interview. He was talking about Michael Thomas and how Michael Thomas always gave him crap when he first got to the team because he didn't know where he was supposed to be. Michael Thomas is just that guy, though. He's competitive, but Emmanuel Sanders stepped up. He had a decent night. He was 12 for 14, 122 yards. Taysom Hill, thankfully, got us the touchdown. This is where I start to have a problem with Sean Payton. Because if you saw, after Taysom Hill got that touchdown, Sean Payton wanted to go for 2. He did not want to tie it up. Thankfully, Drew Brees talked him out of that because we had been struggling to score the entire game. We get to overtime. We win. Thanks entirely to Marshawn Lattimore because had he not pulled Mike Williams down, we would still be in a situation. Now, I only mentioned Mike Thomas earlier because I was talking about Emmanuel Sanders. So if you didn't know, Mike Thomas didn't play yesterday. He was slated to play yesterday. He was coming back from that ankle injury, but then all of a sudden we find out he's not playing. Chris and I kind of talked about it yesterday before the show. Come to find out, he was held because of disciplinary action. So Albert Breer posted this on his Instagram. He said, per sources, the altercation between Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas and DB Chauncey Gardner-Johnson came during a 5-play red zone period yesterday at practice. Michael Thomas didn't like how Chauncey was covering him. They jawed up. Couple snaps later, Thomas throws a punch. Chauncey was wearing his helmet at the time. Okay, so there was a fight. So here's a fact, kids. I looked high and low for the last 2 days to try video of this fight. It's nowhere to be found. I don't know if the practice was closed. I don't know if no one had the camera phone out at just the right time. I don't know. But we really could have gone and not known about this. But instead, Sean Payton decided to make the decision to suspend Michael Thomas and said that this wasn't really just a fight. This was him acting out, and then he needs to learn how to respect his teammates, blah, blah, blah. I think this is really stupid because at the end of the day, this is 2 dudes. Fights happen all the time. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a training camp, but fights happen all the time. I know Britt's seen it. I've gone to countless Cowboys training camps. They happen all the time. It's just a thing. When you have 2 very competitive people on the field, it's bound to happen. And let's not forget that when Michael Thomas was drafted in 2016, Urban Meyer told us who he was. Leo, can we run this clip really quick? Do we? Oh, you probably can't. There it is.
His greatest strengths are ball skills, and he's a competitive SOB. Now, in practice, he gets in a fight about twice a week. He goes after the ball. He's a refuse-to-lose type player. So I love Mike Thomas.
So he already told us he gets into a couple scuffles a week. You drafted him anyway. I don't want to throw shade at my own team, but let's also not forget, Sean Payton, that you were suspended for the entire 2012 season for Bountygate. So let's not get high and mighty now and then all of a sudden sideline our best offensive weapon because he got in a little bit of a tussle. I am so disappointed in Sean Payton for this, and I am not the only one. This first tweet comes from a user that is just as pissed off as I am. He says, the next time Michael Thomas punches someone in practice, you suspend whoever he punched. Correct. This next one said, probably shouldn't have sat Michael Thompson for something that should have been handled in-house between 2 men. Not fair to punish an entire team by holding out the best wide receiver in the league. I agree with that one as well. And then this one says, why suspend Michael Thomas? A guy who wants his name changed to CD Deuce probably deserves to be punched in the face. I agree with that one as well. But what's the double whammy for me on this one is the fact that not only is Michael Thomas suspended for 1 game, we don't even know how long he's going to be suspended because Sean Payton's staying quiet on that. So Jeff Nowak tweeted, he said, Sean Payton didn't definitively say whether Michael Thomas' suspension was going to be just for 1 game. We'll let you know when the time is right. This is boneheadism at its best, in my opinion. I am so disappointed in Sean Payton right now. Chris, my fellow Who Dat Nation member, this is ridiculous. Do you agree with suspending him for even a game? I say let him play. If it's a fight that we didn't even have to know about, he could have kept this entirely in-house. Why even let us know why the suspension?
Well, what we're not going to do is we're not going to sit here and slander my boy Sean Payton. I can't look. You're right. This moment, fine. It is not the best of moments, but Sean Payton, I'm not going to sit here and slander Sean Payton. There's many times.
I'm not slandering him. This is a dumb decision. Even if our team has been struggling.
I would have said, look, we need to look in the mirror at our quarterback, okay? This Drew Brees, but he put
our old quarterback?
Throw. Yes,
he's our old
quarterback. I think. So he's free because of that.
Wait.
I have some problems.
You've been giving him all these passes. You're like, oh, this is just Drew Brees at the beginning of the year.
What was my pass? It was 3
games. 3 games.
Where we at now? We are 3-2 barely at this point. So no, I had some problems with Drew Brees, man. But to stay on topic, because we already over time, so I don't want to take up any more time. As far as the suspension of Drew Brees, everything you said, or Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, everything you said is completely correct. This is not new knowledge. I'm guarantee you Michael Thomas has been fighting players in practices in times before. The only defense I have, and even this defense is weak as hell, is Michael Thomas, because he's coming back from that injury. He probably just was not the same Michael Thomas in practice, to the point where he got locked up by Chauncey, and that's why he got pissed off at Chauncey. Rather, he's more pissed off at himself more than Chauncey at the time. So Sean Payton using this moment to suspend him or whatever the case may be. But he did say he had a conversation with Michael Thomas after the fact. They talked about it, and they both were cool after the fact with the whole entire thing. So I didn't have a problem with it. The thing is, like I said, we ain't got time. Don't let me start. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah. I had no problem with it either way, but whatever.
Well, I did, especially if we'd have lost. The fact that we won makes it kind of okay, but I still need Sean Payton to do better. But we're going to move on to this next one. And this is another NFL topic. You're right about that. So this one is really bad. Even if it wasn't meant in a bad way, Britt always says sometimes no matter what your intent was, it doesn't change the impact. So this is one of those times, because unless you are blind, deaf, and born yesterday, the NFL has a problem with hiring black coaches and hiring black executives. That's why the Rooney Rule was created. It's why the NFL tried to double up on it and say, hey, we'll give you some draft picks if you do it, because there is definitely a problem. Now, you guys know, because we talked about it last week, the Atlanta Falcons have fired their head coach, Dan Quinn, because of the 0-5 start. But Arthur Blank is the owner, and he has two very distinct, different reactions. Because a lot of times, right after you fire the GM and the head coach, you know it's clean house season. So you know a lot of other people are going to go as well. A lot of times that ends up being the quarterback. So when they asked him specifically, hey, what do you see with Matt Ryan? Now, keep in mind, Matt Ryan signed a 5-year contract worth $150 million in 2018. But his response to Matt Ryan was very, I think, optimistic. He said, we'll have to see. That's going to be a decision at the end of the day. Part of it will be up to the player. Part of it will be up to the coaching staff and whether or not Matt can keep himself together. God willing, he'll be able to do that at the level we think he's capable of. So I like that response. It's a very hopeful optimism. It doesn't tear down your quarterback in any way. Even if you do have plans to trade him, it doesn't really say that. So I actually like that response. The response to the head coaching position was opposite, because when he was asked if he thought he would give Raheem Morris, who is the black assistant coach, who's the interim coach right now, he said if Raheem ends up going 11-0, he'll certainly be a candidate. 11-0. That's. There's only 11 games left in the season, in case you missed that part. There's only 11 games left. So basically, he's saying if he has a perfect season, he will consider him as a candidate. Now, he tried to clean it up and say, oh, Raheem Morris wants to be perfect. He wants to be undefeated. Every coach in the league wants to be undefeated. That's not a thing. So it once again lends itself to like, oh, these black coaches have to far exceed, but we've talked about it all the time. Black people have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. I expected to take to Twitter and see a bunch of black people upset about this. Everybody was upset about this. Black, white, whatever, fans of the Falcons, not fans of the Falcons. One user said, wait, is that 11-0? That's really what he said on the record? Yeah, that's what he said on the record. And then this user said, like your old coach was 0-5 and you're going to say Morris needs to be perfect to be considered. If he wins 4 out of 5 games, he should get that interview. And then this one has some expletives in it, so I'm going to skip over it. But it says, this is so effed up. If he turns around an 0-5 team to 11-0 under his coaching, he'll be a candidate? He should be guaranteed the job if he does that. He should be a candidate if he wins any games. It's better than a winless season. Holy S, dude. So I was happy, let me say that, to see that people who don't look like me were outraged by this. But it is one of these constant themes that happen when it comes to coaches in the NFL. So I don't have a lot of questions on this one, except for to say what we not going to do is skip over the fact that Arthur Blake said this and that this is a time for us to do better, especially now. So I'm hoping he does that. Go ahead and leave your comments. I'll respond to y'all in the chat. But right now, let's get Chris up on the screen because we're running low on time. And it is time for Britt's Takes.
Britt's Takes.
Jackie, to your point too, Raheem Morris was a head coach in the NFL already. He coached with Tampa Bay. So I think it's crazy for them to even think that he wouldn't even be a candidate anyway, just because he has head coaching experience. But
he said in his comment, he was like, he said he needed to learn from his Tampa Bay experience. And that's why he shaded him throughout his whole comment. But
he barely got an opportunity to be a head coach with Tampa and they let him go like right away. So that's a whole, Anyways,
whole show.
For Britt's Take, I'm going to try to go really quickly on this one. So obviously a lot of really cool things happened after the NBA Finals. LeBron and Danny Green have both now won 3 rings with 3 different teams. Danny Green became a back-to-back NBA champ on 2 different teams. Lakers won their 17th title, so they are now tied with the Celtics for the most NBA titles in league history. And then, of course, with Jeannie Buss becoming the first female to win as an owner of a team. But the stat I am going to be talking about today includes Dwight Howard, Markieff Morris, and the Washington Wizards. This is all in reference to the NBA Finals. So I've been wondering, what do they have to do, and especially the Washington Wizards have to do with the NBA Finals? Well, let me throw a few more names out there, see if you guys guess it. JaVale McGee, Jared Dudley. Anything starting to ring a bell? Well, a third of the Lakers squad actually are former Washington Wizards players. All those 4 players I mentioned. And the funny thing is we are now in our 4th straight year, guys, that an NBA champion, whatever team wins the NBA championship, has had at least one former Wizards player on it. For the last 4 years straight, whoever won the NBA championship has had a Wizards player on it. This is not something that happens very often. In fact, they actually have the most in NBA history with a total of 7. So 7 times has a player from the Wizards won after leaving the Wizards and joining another team. And this is the first time that has happened 4 straight years in NBA where a team, several players from a team go to another team and then win an NBA championship with that other team. Now, obviously, the guys I mentioned aren't like the stars of any of the teams. JaVale didn't play at all. Jared Dudley, Markieff obviously is pretty decent. And then Dwight Howard's pretty decent too. But it's not like we're taking LeBron and putting him with a different team and then that team continues to win. No, these are just average run-of-the-mill players. And they have continued to win 4 consecutive years after leaving the Washington Wizards. Yes, JaVale played with Golden State and other players played with other whatever, but this is the weirdest stat I've ever heard of, especially considering the Wizards themselves have not won a championship since 1978. And now this brings me to the point that I get really, really why Bradley Beal has been trying to get a trade, because he wants to be a part of this new trend, this new tradition of leaving the Washington Wizards team in order to win a championship. And the funny thing is, yesterday, an article was posted and it said the 5 teams that are most likely to work out a trade deal with the Washington Wizards in order to get Bradley Beal. 3 of those teams, the Brooklyn Nets, the Miami Heat, and the Los Angeles Lakers, are all contenders to win a championship next year. So the other 2 were like the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I forget the other one. But yes, those were the teams that were best to get a deal in order to get Bradley Beal for next season. And those are 3 championship teams, potential championship teams. 2 of those teams just played in the NBA Finals this year. So is Bradley Beal going to continue this tradition? Like, are we going to see another situation next year where it'll be 5 years straight, most ever to ever happen with an NBA team to not win a championship but have players from their former team go on to win a championship? And will it be Bradley Beal? He actually is a free agent in 2021. So whoever does a trade with him, they're not taking on a huge responsibility, taking on a 1-year deal. And then he'll be a free agent next year to do whatever he wants. So if somebody does, obviously we've talked about Miami Heat being a huge hot spot for free agents. But could it be a hot spot for some players to get traded to, like Bradley Beal? Like, could he be that missing factor for the Miami Heat team? Could the Lakers use him next season? Could even the Brooklyn Nets, with Kevin Durant and Kyrie coming back, be really good with adding Bradley Beal to the mix? Obviously, another player, John Wall, has been thrown in the mix as like a possible player that like would benefit from this new tradition of leaving the Wizards and then going on to win a championship with another team. But John Wall is on his contract until 2023. And the last 2 seasons that he has not played basketball, because we haven't seen or talked about John Wall in a long time because he hasn't been on a basketball court in a long time, but they've had to roughly $40 million these last 2 seasons. So John Wall, you owe that team some playing time. So I think John Wall is going to stay, and he needs to stay with the Washington Wizards because he has literally made $80 million without dribbling a basketball. So he needs to stay and at least get some of that money back for that team because he has one of the big contracts and he has not seen a basketball court in a while. So, but he is quote unquote healthy. He says he's really healthy and he should be returning once the NBA returns. But I just thought this was like a really funny stat that like everybody that leaves the Washington Wizards within the last 4 years has won a championship with like another team. Like, that is so funny and so sad. And I think it unfortunately is going to happen for year 5. I think Bradley Beal would be a good fit pretty much anywhere he goes. We all know he had those 10 games where he made over 40 points or whatever per game, and then his team still goes on to lose. But imagine that situation happening. What's his face? Goran, I can't think of his last name right now.
Goran
Dragic, yes. He is a free agent for Miami Heat, and he is their shooter. So switch Bradley Beal out and put Bradley Beal in that situation, and I think the Miami Heat could really be dangerous next season. So I think Bradley Beal is going to get traded, and I think possibly whatever team Bradley Beal gets traded to could possibly be the favorite to win the NBA championship next year, just because of this silly new rule that if you leave Washington Wizards, you go on to win a championship. But that's Britt's take for today. We'll see where I'm going to be watching a little extra closely now to see where Bradley Beal gets traded to.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another live show. Tap the bell for notifications so you know right when we're going live. Subscribe, leave a comment, hit the thumbs up, wash your hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you guys later. Let us know if you eat some tacos today. Comment about it. Let us know. Bye, everyone.
Tuesday.